Hi, this is the first video for my blog, my new blog slash revised blog, Miss Social Suicide. It's actually, I've already recorded this about a million times now because I keep losing my train of thought. The idea behind my blog is, well, it's the mental health hashtag called Talking About It, because I don't really talk about it. I mean, I talk about it with, I'm very selective with who I talk about it with, but I don't really talk about it with people, a lot of people in my inner circle, with my family or friends, a lot of the time. And that's okay, but I think it's, for me, I think I need to talk about it. So one of the goals is to talk about it, to all the taboo stuff. I mean, not just mental health, there's other stuff, but I'll just stick with this for now as a theme. And also to help raise awareness about mental health, because I think, I don't know, I think the public gets these kind of campaigns and lists of symptoms and what it, you know, any symptoms that it might look like, but what a person's experience of a disorder can be can vary so much from one person to the next. And for me, right now, a lot of people wouldn't know because I'm not bouncing off the walls, but I have bipolar disorder, and I'm really not well at the moment, and I've been quite high. The last few weeks I've been very high, and no one would really know unless I said it, unless I told them or told them what was going on. I think some people might, who know me well, might know that I'm a bit off, not quite myself. And there's a few people who have actually said that too, but generally I don't think people know how bad that I've been. So at the moment, yeah, I just want to talk about it more and let some people in that I've probably kept shut out for a long time, and longer than I should have, and just encourage other people to talk about it too. And if they're going through something or not well, or they're not okay, to start talking about it. So what can I tell you? So I have bipolar disorder, and I experienced the onset when I was 14 years old, and there's different types and degrees of bipolar disorder. My symptoms are consistent with bipolar disorder 1, which is the more severe of the types. And the first time I experienced it, there was a period of about 4 months, preceded by quite a period of depression. I had a bit of depression in childhood and adolescence that was quite bad at times actually. And then when I was 14, there was some things going on at home, I guess, but it's like, I can't even explain it. I didn't know what was happening. I'd never heard of this stuff before. No one talked about it back then. I didn't know that these things had a name. Basically for a period of 4 months I was on a daily cycle. I was high, but I was on a daily cycle of rapid cycling, which can happen in bipolar disorder. You can be both at the same time, or both. You can swing between one and the other quite quickly, and or in a faster succession than, say, you know, a classic episode. And it was really scary at the time. I didn't understand what was happening to me. I mean, you're dealing with everything that you go through as a teen anyway. You're dealing with, you know, boys, and your body's changing, and you're thinking about a lot of different things, and you're trying to deal with school and home stuff. So for me, no one really would have known what was going on for me because it's not all out there. I think sometimes the lists of symptoms will say, you know, oh, delusions of this, and they act like this, and they do this, and I had a lot of the symptoms, but they weren't all out there because the way it came out in me was I just had this big secret world of my own. I didn't really talk about things with anyone. I kind of kept so much hidden, and no one would have really known what the heck was happening for me. Basically what would happen at night, I'd just be up until quite a late hour. I'd go into my room to go to bed at 8:30, but I'd be up and for ages and just listening to my alarm clock radio and just writing and depressed. And then I don't know, at some point just something would just go ping in my brain. It was like a drug, and suddenly I just felt like I had this huge epiphany of life, that I knew what I was born to do, and I knew what I was meant to do in this life, and I was going to go do this, and I was going to go do that, and I was going to be famous, and I was going to write 6 musicals and own my own island where everyone could be individuals. And it was something different every night. It was just different, and some things would kind of repeat themselves, but probably the most extreme one was the island one. Gosh, and I can laugh now, but at the time I was dead serious. And it's pretty scary because I'm 14 and all this is happening, and suddenly it's ping in my brain, and then I've got to plan everything. I've got to start saving now, and I've got to sneak out at night and work at a servo to save up all this money so I can run away, and then I can go here, and save for this flight to go here, and then get famous here. And it turned into this massive kind of thing, but it was just this thing that went on for 4 months. And then during the day, like I wake up in the morning, it was almost like a hangover, and I'd be, what the heck just happened? I'd think about the night before, I'm like, what on earth was that? And I'd spend the day really anxious and confused and kind of going through teen angst, but just at a really intense level, like thinking about different things, thinking about boys, thinking about the girls at school, and analysing the crap out of every interaction I had with every person in my life. Very suspicious and paranoid and angry and bitter. And yeah, I don't know, it was a really strange time. And then one of the symptoms I don't talk about with bipolar disorder is you can be hypersexual. You can, you know, everyone's got their own sexual self, and as a teen you kind of go through it anyway, but to have that on top of everything was like, you know, I think I was probably a bit too interested in boys. I'm lucky that I was very shy, so I wasn't really promiscuous. So this is, I mean, all this went on. I'd never touched any kind of drug in my life. I didn't even know what drugs were. I was never touched alcohol, and it was just a really scary time. And all this happened, and I had started seeing a psychiatrist for some other reason, but they didn't pick this up. And she was apparently a very good one, and she was lovely, but she never picked this up because I didn't tell her, and no one could have known, because the way it came out in me was so secretive and this big secret life in my head. But my lows were pretty low. Like, I got really dark thoughts and became suicidal, and yeah, had some really dark times, and I was self-harming. I mean, I was doing it before I kind of even knew what it really was, and then when I found out my friend was cutting, and I started trying it out too, and it became like a thing. yeah. So that was the first wave of episodes, and that was 4 months of that, like a daily thing, and it was a really scary time. I think that's all I can talk about in this video. I think that's all I can fit.